Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something a little different. Instead of doing all of my dinners for this week, I'm just focusing on this one recipe because it was that good. And it is this butternut squash pasta. So first what you're going to do is you're going to take your butternut squash. I got a medium-sized one, and you're going to cut the tops and the bottom off of it. And then you cut it in half. And I was having a hard time with this because my knives are really dull, so I really need to sharpen it. So make sure you have a sharp knife when you go to cut into this. And after I cut into this, I just took the seeds and the stringy bits. I don't know what the technical name for that is, like the stringy insides. I just took those out like you would when you're carving a pumpkin. And after that was done, I put those to the side and I started working on my onion. Now, if I had shallots, which is what the original recipe called for, I would have used those, but I didn't. So instead, I just used one yellow onion. I'm pretty sure it's a yellow onion. I think it's a sweet onion. And I just quartered it and took the skins off and set those to the side as well. Next, I started working on my carrots. My carrots are very old, so they weren't in the best condition. So I just shaved them down and cut off any of the bad pieces. But I had approximately 2 big carrots and then like a medium carrot's worth of baby potatoes. I think is what approximately these carrots end out equal to. I've made this recipe before without carrots, and I have to say I think I like the version without carrots a little bit more because this was just the taddest bit sweet. So either no carrots or less carrots the next time, because this one was just a tad bit sweet for my taste. And of course the butternut squash is naturally sweet, so when you combine the natural sweetness of the squash with the natural sweetness of the carrots, you're going to get a very sweet pasta. Next up, I tried this hack for roasted garlic, and it ended up working so well that I'm definitely going to do it again. The garlic didn't burn, it wasn't bitter, it was so good. I could tell that it had been roasted instead of just thrown in raw. But basically what you do is you get a piece of tin foil, you cut the head of the garlic off as you saw me do, and then you just drizzle it with some oil. I used avocado because that's what I use when I cook. And then you make sure that no steam can release from this foil because you want it to steam and roast it. Like that's how it's gonna cook, is the steam. And then basically I just took a big pan. I think this one was a 10 by 15 or a 10 by 14, and I put everything in it. I put the squash face down so that way it could steam as it cooked, and then the carrots, the onions, and the garlic. I wish, looking back, that I had added some oil to the carrots because they desperately needed it, but I didn't at the time. So if you try this recipe and you decide to add the carrots, definitely make sure to add oil to the carrots to help them steam and soften up. And I just baked it at 400 degrees for 50 minutes is what you see right here. I wish that I had gone a little bit longer than 50 minutes because you can see there are some places where the fork goes in nice and smooth, and there are other places where I kind of have to force it. But my family was hungry, I was hungry, my onions were burning, I didn't want to take any more time than I had. So after that was done, word to the wise, when you make this recipe, you definitely want to cook the squash a lot earlier than you're going to need it because you want it to cool down. This squash was so hot because it was right out of the oven. I kept burning my fingers, and I would have to like go run my fingers under cold water for a few seconds after holding it. Even holding it with like a hot pad or a towel, it was still burning my fingers. It was so hot, but I had no choice because I had to get dinner on the table. So yeah, next time I'm going to make this, I'm definitely going to make it ahead of time and let the squash cool down. But basically I just added the onions, the garlic, the squash, the carrots to a blender. I added salt, a little bit of oil, some rubbed sage, some thyme, and probably a half cup of milk to start at the beginning. And then I blended it all up. The recipe calls for you to add vegetable stock to it and heavy cream instead of milk. But I didn't want it to be any sweeter than I knew it was already going to be, so I didn't add the heavy cream. And then I wanted it to be silkier than if I would have added vegetable broth, so that's why I used milk. And then when that was blending, I was getting a pot of water ready to boil my pasta. I just used cavatappi noodles. You can use elbow macaroni noodles if you prefer, but I don't like the texture of those, so I prefer to use the cavatappi. But this recipe makes so much sauce, like it's enough for 2 batches of pasta. Like, you do not need, unless you want really, really, really saucy pasta, you do not need to put the entire blender worth of sauce in there. Like, a cup of sauce maybe is more than enough. But this was so good. It's definitely a make again. I ended up pairing it with this Asian salad kit that I got from the store. Didn't prefer the Asian salad, but I loved the pasta. My family loved the pasta. Even my 2 toddlers, who are 4 and 3, went back for seconds and asked for more the next day. They loved it so much. So this is definitely a make again recipe. And if you try it, I hope you like it as much as we did.